Debary, Florida has some serious advantages, but it's got its problems too. Today, I'm here in Debary, Florida, and I'll be sharing some of the pros and the cons of Debary from a local's perspective. I'm Chuck Shaver, and I work and play right here in Debary all the time. And while little Debary, Florida is growing up, I believe that the advantages and disadvantages of Debary really haven't changed that much. So stick around until the end of this video when I'll be sharing what I believe surprises most people about this little town. And I'll also be sharing another video with what I believe is the biggest news in Debary for the last several decades. First, let's take a quick look at what Debary is. Debary is a little town of around 23,000 people, about halfway between Orlando and Daytona Beach along I-4. Debary is about 45 minutes north of the Mouse and the Orlando area attractions. Debary is a little bedroom community that I believe is often overlooked by some other local cities like Sanford and Deland. Before we get to the cons, let's get started with the pros of this little suburb of Orlando. So I just mentioned Debary's location, which is what I believe is Debary's greatest asset. There aren't many people that live in Debary for Debary itself. Most locals live here for Debary's proximity to everything else. Daytona and New Smyrna beaches are just 45 minutes up I-4 to the east, and Orlando is just 30 minutes down I-4. Lake Mary, just 15-20 minutes to the south, has all sorts of administrative, tech, and financial services jobs. Deland, about 20 minutes to the north, is the biggest small town here in the area, and they've got a wonderful downtown district with all sorts of shopping, restaurants, and all that. Debary is really situated between everything else, which is what I believe is one of the pros that makes Debary so great. Another pro of Debary is charm. Now, charm is something that I believe much of Central Florida really lacks. Don't get me wrong, there are other cities not too far away with a little charm, but in my opinion, Debary is one of the closest Orlando suburbs with any charm at all. The people here are usually friendly and they tend to look out for each other. The Christmas parade along 1792 and the fireworks at Gemini Springs are something that we look forward to all the time. They've got just a few restaurants and coffee shops here, the Bagel King Express, which is a cool little place and all that, but it's pretty quiet here. It's much more quiet than right down across the St. Johns River into Sanford or Lake Mary. The next pro of Debary is the traffic. Now, I'll be the first to say that this is one that is changing, as the locals here all just seem to be up in arms, fussing about all the new traffic lights and the reduced speed limits. But in my mind, it's all relative. Down in Sanford and all in the Orlando area, 5 o'clock means that if you aren't already out, stay home. I think we're kind of spoiled up here, and so now when we might have to sit through one traffic light, we're having a fit, whereas down in the Orlando area and those suburbs, it's a regular thing. I've lived down there and I work in that mess too, so this is why this one, in my opinion, is still a very clear pro for Debary, Florida. I know that some of the locals will say that the traffic is a con, so that brings me to the next pro, the Sunrail. Debary Sunrail is a commuter rail system that connects down south of Orlando and Point Siena with several stops, including one here in Debary with the last station all the way up in Deland. As I record this today, you can go round trip from one end to the other for under like 10 bucks. Plus, if you're under 18 or you have disabilities, you can ride for half price. It may not be something you'd move to Debary for, but if you're here, I think it's a definite pro. The next pro of Debary is the cost of living. The overall cost of living in Debary is pretty close to national average, maybe just a tick under it. The utilities and taxes are becoming more fodder for complaints here in Debary, but I think that's pretty much the same as everywhere, as we're all dealing with these inflationary pressures. While the median price here in Debary is quite a bit more than Orange City, its neighbor up to the north, you're going to get more bang for your buck here than you will down closer to Orlando in cities like Sanford, Lake Mary, and even Maitland. You can get a 3-2 single-family home with a private pool here in Debary in the low 300s. Now, I know that's still a lot of dough to many, but that's even more of a rarity down closer to Orlando. Debary has all sorts of housing options too. They've got a couple golf communities and gated communities with homeowners associations, but they've also got all sorts of homes without HOAs that are affordable too. There are also some mobile homes on land, including a couple of them with St. Johns River access that I think are well worth their money. I've got videos on several communities here in Debary, so check out my YouTube channel for more of those. Before I move on to the cons and the issues that Debary deals with, if this is the type of information that you're looking for, take a quick second and hit the like and subscribe buttons and click that little notification bell. That way you'll be notified whenever I post other videos just like this. If you have questions about real estate here in Debary or anywhere else in Central Florida for that matter, either leave a comment in the comment section below or just pick up the phone and give me a call. So every rose has its thorn, and you might be thinking that I'm trying to sell you on Debary, but that's simply not the case. Debary is far from perfect. Let's reflect back on a pro that I spoke of earlier, that location. Remember me saying that people move to Debary for its proximity to everything else? Well, that's because there's nothing to do in Debary. Yes, there's a St. Johns River, which is really nice, and that's a huge asset for this little town. There's Gemini Springs, and let's throw in the cycling trails, which are fantastic, but that's really about it. The Swamp House Grill is about the most upstanding restaurant that we've got here in Debary, but the name should give you an indication of how upscale that is. Yes, it's good, but it's the Swamp House, and it's way down at the end of a little dead-end street on the river. Want nightlife? Well, you're going to need to head down into that traffic towards Orlando. Want shopping or restaurants? Well, there's not much of that here. There's La Strega Italian Bistro, and it's really nice, but it's new, so let's see how long it sticks around. Genuine Bistro is about to reopen as, I think it's a Salted Goat or something like that. We'll have to see how that goes. You need to head down south or up into Orange City or Deland for anything else. How about jobs? Well, there aren't many of them here in Debary either. Again, Debary is really about what's around it, but not at all what's in it. Want to head downtown and just hang out? Well, there is no downtown here. Yes, there's a commercial district, but it's not much. The walkability of Debary is quite poor in my opinion too. The traffic along 1792 has gotten much worse in recent years, and even if there was somewhere to walk to, most wouldn't feel safe doing it because of all the increased traffic. It seems like new traffic lights are popping up all the time, slowing me down. Although a downtown area is in the works, who knows when that'll be a reality. I'll include a link towards the end of this video that will describe the plans for Debary's upcoming downtown district, which I think are pretty cool, but time's really going to tell to see how that works out. Next, while it isn't specific to Debary itself, and it is shared by many of its neighbors, Debary gets hot here in the summer. Now, I know, I get it, I live in Florida and I should expect that, right? Well, fair enough. But I spent a good bit of time over in New Smyrna Beach, and it's become pretty clear to me that Debary is simply too far inland to take advantage of any of those ocean breezes like they get over at New Smyrna. I used to think that we'd get those ocean breezes here, but I don't think I could have been more wrong. Those of you that know Debary, what are some other pros and cons? Do you think that the downtown will be a pro or a con? Our goal here at the Shaver Group is to help our Central Florida community with local knowledge like this. So take a second and share your thoughts below. Here are a couple other videos that I spoke of earlier. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.